Hi boys and girls, today we're going to talk about ordering rational numbers 6.2D. Materials you're going to need are your math journal and pencil. You're going to record in your table of contents ordering rational numbers 6.2D, September 25th, 2020. Your learning target is, I can order a set of rational numbers. Remember, our positive numbers are to the right and our negative numbers are to the left. I'm going to try something different. Whenever you see this lilac color up here where it says pause the video, after I go through the notes, pause the video and record your notes in your journal. So, how to order rational numbers. Step 1, change all numbers to the same form, which basically means that we're going to write it in decimal form, fraction form, or percent form. We just finished the unit on how to create equivalent fractions, decimals, and percents. Step 2, you're going to separate your positives and your negatives, and you're going to do that by doing a T-chart, negatives to positives, and then you're going to put them in order in ascending or descending order. Ascending, it is least to greatest, and descending, it is going downward. It is greatest to least. Pause the video and write these definitions. Think of a flight of stairs as well. You go up, you are ascending. When you go down the stairs, you are descending. Example 1. You have a set of numbers. You have to decide which form to change them into. I'm going to go ahead and change them into percent forms because I know 3/4 is 75%. 7/10, move my decimal and add a 0, is 70%. 50% is okay, and then 1 2/10, again, move my decimal, that is 120%. So now I'm going to separate negatives and positives. They are all positive, so now I'm ready to order. Put them on a number line, and remember, it is least to greatest. So the smallest percent is 50%. The next percent would be 70%, which is written in the original form, 7/10. 3/4, which is 75%, and then 1 2/10. Now I want you to make sure that you order them on a number line and then add the inequality sign. 50% is less than 7/10, 7/10 is less than 3/4, and 3/4 is less than 1 2/10. Alright, go ahead and try this on your own and then pause the video, come back to check your answers. Okay, boys and girls, I've changed them to the same form. I decided to go with decimals this time. And so now that I have decimal forms, I'm going to line them up with my decimal. I have 8500ths, 6/10ths, and 1500ths. Now I want you to notice over here, when you look at these numbers and you're comparing them, you may think 15 is more than 6. However, if you put in a placeholder, put a 0 placeholder, that 0 does not change the value, but now you can actually see that 1500ths is less than 6/10, because 6/10 is equivalent to 60 hundredths. So now you can write your number line, and again, these are all positive, so you can just put them in order. I have 1500ths is less than 6/10, which was 3/5, is less than 7/10, which is less than 8500ths. Alright, so the next example, you'll notice that I have negatives and positives. So first I want to change them to the same form. And again, I think I'm going to go with decimals because these are benchmark fractions and I can change them very easily. This is 5/10, 1 and 4/10 is okay. This is -1 and 25/100. That's -2, and then 1 and 95/100. I'm going to go ahead and circle my negative numbers, and I'm going to make my chart. Negatives, positives. My negatives are -1 and 25/100, -2. Well, let's erase this 2 and line up my decimal. And remember, I'm going to add those placeholders. That way I can compare the numbers accurately. On the positive side, I have 5/10, I have 1 and 4/10, and then 1 and 95/100. And again, I'm going to add those placeholder zeros where I can compare them accurately. I'm going to draw my number line. Now I have to add a 0 because I have negatives and positives. Remember, the number that is closest to 0 is greater than the number that's farther away from 0 when we're talking about negatives. So I have -2. -2 is over here on the end. -1 and 25/100, if this is -1, would be right here, -1 and 25/100, because it is less than -1. So it's just a little bit to the left of 1, -1. On the right side, I have positive numbers, and they're actually already in order, so I just record them. 5/10, 1 and 4/10, 1 and 95/100. I look at my number line. I'm going to go ahead and put in my original numbers. That was 1/2, 1 and 1/4, or -1 and 1/4 goes here. I think I'm good to go now. So -2/10 is less than -1 and 1/4 is less than 1/2 is less than 1 and 4/10 is less than 1 and 95/100. All right, we're looking at a table that has bikers and times above or below their average minutes. So I'm going to change the form. I have -1 and 8/10, 1 and 2/5, 1 and 9/10, and -1 and 25/100. So again, the best one I think would be to change them to decimals. So I'm going to start here, and I have 1 and 2/5. So remember, if I can make my denominator 10, I can rewrite it as a decimal in tenths. So I'm going to multiply times 2. What I do to the bottom, I do to the top. 2 times 2 is 4. So that's 1.4. 1 and 9/10, that should be easy enough for you. 1, and then the 9 is in the tenths place. So now I can circle my negatives. I have -1/8 and -1 and 25/100. I will make my T-chart, negatives, positives, and I'm going to write down my numbers, -1.8, -1.25. On the positive side, I have 1. The decimal is behind the 1. I have 1 and 4/10 and 1 and 9/10. And again, don't forget those placeholders. Add those zeros to make it easier to read those numbers when you're putting them on the number line. I've separated my negatives from my positives. Step 3 says order them. On my negative side, which one is actually further away from 0? Well, -1 and 8/10 is furthest from 0. And then I have -1 and 25/100. On the right side, I have 1 and 4/10, which was actually 1 and 2/5. And then I have 1 and 9/10. Again, don't forget your inequality signs. -1 and 8/10 is less than -1 and 25/100 is less than 1. 1 is less than 1 and 2/5. And 1 and 2/5 is less than 1 and 9/10. If you have any questions, make sure you contact your teachers. We are here to help you. If you have any questions, join the Google Meets or email your teachers. All right, continue with your independent practice if you're ready to move on. Don't forget to use your steps. Step 1, change your numbers to the same form. Step 2, separate positives from negatives. And step 3, order them. And when you order them, be sure to put them on a number line. All right, good luck. Have fun.